Today, when someone looks at the Statue of Liberty in New York, it's easy to imagine that it has always stood there, firm and imposing, holding its torch over the harbor. But the truth is, this monument was not born in the United States. It began as an ambitious idea across the ocean, in France, at a time when building a statue of this size seemed almost impossible. Before it became a symbol of freedom, hope, and immigration, it was just a dream on paper. A colossal copper woman, holding a torch, capable of crossing the Atlantic disassembled into hundreds of pieces. The origin of the Statue of Liberty is tied to a French proposal to celebrate the friendship between France and the United States, as well as the ideals of liberty and democracy. The original name given by the sculptor was Liberty Enlightening the World. The project was intended as a gift from the French people to the American people, but there was an important agreement. France would be responsible for the statue, while the United States would build the pedestal where it would stand. This division seems simple, but it soon became a major financial, technical, and political challenge. The sculptor responsible for the statue's design was the French artist Frédéric-Auguste Bartholdi. He envisioned a gigantic female figure, dressed in classical robes, carrying a torch as a symbol of enlightenment and progress. But creating a regular sculpture was already difficult. Building a figure over 40 meters tall, made of copper, capable of withstanding the strong winds of New York Harbor, was another level of difficulty. Bartholdi needed more than art. He needed engineering. He had to transform a beautiful idea into a real, safe, and durable structure. The Statue of Liberty was not carved from a single block of stone. It was made of molded copper plates supported by an internal metal framework. This detail is crucial. From the outside it looked like a sculpture. From the inside, it was an engineering marvel. The copper had to be thin enough to shape, but strong enough to withstand the elements. The internal structure had to allow the copper skin to move slightly with the wind and temperature changes without cracking or collapsing. It was like building a giant human body. Skin on the outside, skeleton on the inside. To solve this problem, Bartholdi enlisted the help of Alexandre Gustave Eiffel, the same engineer who would later become famous for the Eiffel Tower. Eiffel developed an internal iron structure with a large central support and a secondary framework, allowing the copper plates to be secured while maintaining some flexibility. This system was ingenious for its time. The statue needed to stand tall, but also breathe with the wind. Without this solution, the monument might never have survived for so long. Assembly began in France, and gradually, the enormous figure took shape in Paris. First, isolated parts appeared: the hand, the torch, the head, the shoulders. These pieces were displayed at public events to draw attention and help raise funds. Imagine walking through Paris at the time and seeing the giant head of a statue that didn't yet have its final destination. Construction became a spectacle. The French people followed the work as if witnessing history in the making. By 1884, the statue was finally completed in France. While France finished the statue, the United States faced a serious problem. The pedestal was not ready. Without the pedestal, there was no place for the monument. The base was to be built on what was then called Bedloe's Island, today Liberty Island, in New York. Architect Richard Morris Hunt was chosen to design the pedestal, while General Charles P. Stone was responsible for part of the foundation and construction engineering. Work began, but the money ran out. The statue was about to arrive, yet New York still hadn't completed the location where it would stand. At that moment, Joseph Pulitzer, owner of the World newspaper, entered the story. He launched a public campaign to raise funds for the pedestal. The strategy was simple yet powerful. Anyone who donated, even a small amount, would have their name published in the newspaper. This transformed the construction of the Statue of Liberty into a people's cause. It was no longer just a project of governments or millionaires. Children, workers, immigrants, and ordinary citizens all contributed. Over 120,000 people donated, and the campaign raised more than $100,000, allowing the pedestal to finally be completed. Once completed in France, the statue was disassembled. The great copper lady was separated into hundreds of parts and packed into crates to cross the Atlantic aboard the French ship Isère. According to the Statue of Liberty Ellis Island Foundation, it was reduced to 350 pieces and packed into 214 crates. When it arrived at New York Harbor on June 17, 1885, it was met with enormous celebration. But there was still one detail. The statue had to wait until the pedestal was finished. The image was almost ironic. The future greatest symbol of freedom in the United States stood there, disassembled, awaiting its base. In 1886, with the pedestal finally completed, the difficult task of reassembling the statue in New York began. Piece by piece, the structure was erected on the island. The copper skin was attached to the metal skeleton. The torch was placed, the crown took shape, and the figure that had once been boxed up began to dominate the skyline. On October 28, 1886, the Statue of Liberty was officially inaugurated by President Grover Cleveland. At that moment, it ceased to be just an engineering feat and became a global symbol, a monument born from the union of art, technology, public donations, and a powerful idea. Liberty can illuminate the world. And perhaps that is what makes the construction of the Statue of Liberty so remarkable. It was not built solely from copper, iron, concrete, and stone. It was built with persistence, with ordinary people donating small amounts, with engineers solving nearly impossible problems, with artists imagining something larger than their own era. Today, when the Statue of Liberty appears in films, photographs, and postcards, it seems eternal. Yet behind that perfect image lies a story of delays, lack of funds, risky transportation, innovative engineering, and one of the greatest international collaborations in history. The statue is not just a monument standing in New York Harbor. It is proof that some ideas are so strong, they can cross oceans.